All right, let's talk about Roberto Confresi. We all know the name, right? The legend, the hero. But what if I told you that the story we all know, well, it's not the whole story, not even close. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on the past he has desperately tried to keep hidden.
I mean, you've probably wondered, right? How does one guy just skyrocket to the top like that? It's been a mystery for years. And the answer, it turns out, isn't found in all his famous victories. Nope. It's buried in a past that somebody went to a lot of trouble to erase.
So to really get who Roberto is now, we've got to go back, way back, before the fame, before any of the legends were written. We're going back to the very beginning, to a secret that literally shaped everything that came after. Look, we all know the official story, the public version of Roberto, the guy with the prestigious vessels, the mastermind behind Squall, the man who discovered Calypso. That's the highlight reel, the version of the story everyone knows and loves.
But that's not where his story actually begins. Before all of that, before anyone knew his name, there was something else, something completely different.
He was prospected, yeah, but not by who you think. This wasn't some official military recruitment. No, he was scouted by a very different kind of group. An organization that saw what he could become way before anyone else did. And this is where things get dark. He got an offer, all right, but it wasn't made in some fancy office. It was an offer made in the shadows. See, the Dark Lotus, they had a plan for him, a big one.
So who exactly are the Dark Lotus? Well, let me put it this way. They are the most feared criminal syndicate Vanguard has ever known. We're talking top-tier, bogeyman-level stuff. And when they pick you, it's not a suggestion, it's a command. And it's usually for something pretty grim.
So you gotta ask, what did a group like that see in a young Roberto? It was more than just his skill with the blade, which, let's be honest, was already becoming legendary. They saw the whole package, this once-in-a-generation talent, discipline that was just unreal for his age, and that quiet fire you only see in true leaders.
And here's the crazy part. They didn't threaten him. They didn't have to. What they offered him was, in their words, a future shaped in shadow. It was a fast track to power, a way to skip all the rules and get right to the top. A future of immense influence, built entirely outside the light. And their plan for him? Oh, it was meticulous. This wasn't just some recruitment drive. Roberto was their endgame. Think about it. Step 1, find the talent. Step 2, forge him into the perfect weapon. And the final step? Elevate him to be their next leader. He was their chosen successor.
But you know how it goes. Even the best-laid plans can fall apart. The Dark Lotus, with all their power and all their foresight, they missed something. They never, ever planned for one single, unpredictable variable.
And that variable was Calypso. The second Roberto found her, everything changed. It was like a switch was flipped, and the Lotus's grand, decades-long plan, it just started to crumble.
Suddenly, he was caught between two totally different worlds. On one side, you've got the Dark Lotus, offering a future built on ownership, fear, and cruelty. And on the other, Calypso, representing love, loyalty, and a totally different kind of strength. It was a clash of ideals happening right inside his own head.
So, this all comes to a head. He's facing a choice, an impossible one, really, a choice of defiance. And you have to understand the stakes here. No one, and I mean no one, had ever just walked away from the Dark Lotus. It just wasn't done.
Of course, the Lotus eventually found out about Calypso, and their reaction was exactly what you'd expect: cold, calculating, and immediate. To them, she wasn't a person, she was a problem, an unplanned variable, or, in their own chilling words, a liability.
There was no meeting, no room for negotiation. Their judgment was instant and their command was absolute. The very same group that promised him the world was now demanding he destroy the most important part of it.
And the ultimatum was brutal. She had to die. Simple as that. That was the price for the future they had offered him. The price for all that power. And right there, with everything on the line, Roberto chose defiance. He looked at their power, their plan for his future, their absolute command, and he said no. He chose her. But of course, you don't just say no to the Dark Lotus and walk away clean. His choice didn't just affect him, it sent a massive shockwave right through the entire syndicate. He didn't just ruin his future with them, he stole their future.
To really get a sense of how big a deal this was, you just need to think about one number: 30.
That's 30 years. For 3 decades, the Dark Lotus had been carefully, quietly planning their comeback. And Roberto? He was the absolute centerpiece of that plan, the key to everything. And in a single moment, with a single choice, he just shattered it all.
He was supposed to be their greatest achievement, their ultimate weapon. Instead, he became their single greatest mistake. And you can bet that's a mistake they are never, ever going to forget.
And that brings us all the way back to today. Roberto, as you know, has never said a word about any of this. It's buried deep. But a secret like this, it doesn't just disappear. It's a shadow that's always there, walking right beside him, just waiting. So the question we're all left with is, how long can something like this stay hidden? And what's going to happen to the legend we think we know when that shadow finally decides to step into the light?